So our next question was from Julie. How do you handle things if you nick a client? So there are always risks of minor cuts, nicks, or grazes to the skin with dermaplaning, and injury and accidents can happen. It's important to be prepared and have a protocol in place just in case of emergencies. If you make a tiny nick on the client's face, just keep moving forward with the procedure. They're not likely to bleed with a microscopic cut or nick. These nicks are generally small and very minor because the pressure used for dermaplaning cannot cause a deep cut. These nicks and scrapes should heal fully without leaving any marks behind within 24 to 48 hours. However, I'm going to give you some guidelines to follow just in case of an extreme event where you may cut the client. So pause your service and set your blade aside in a safe and sterile place. Do not freak out, gasp, or panic. How you handle the situation will determine whether or not the client comes back. Being professional and prepared are key factors in successfully dealing with this situation and retaining your client. So grab your prepped gauze and apply firm pressure, holding the gauze in place for, say, 20 to 30 seconds. If the bleeding has subsided, continue with the treatment, avoiding the area that has been nicked. Now, if the bleeding has not stopped, elevate the client's head so it's higher than the heart and apply a styptic pen or another coagulating solution to the cut and continue to apply pressure with the gauze. The bleeding should stop within 30 seconds to a minute. So after the bleeding has stopped, stay calm and continue with the treatment, taking care to avoid the area that's been nicked. Make sure that you document the event and keep the paperwork in a file. Let your manager know so they're prepared just in case they get a phone call from your client and you're not available. And follow up with the client. Call her the next day to make sure she's happy with the service and that the nick is healing. Try to end the conversation on a positive note by telling her like how wonderful her skin looked after the treatment. To reduce the risk of potential injury prior to starting the procedure, instruct your client not to make any sudden movements during the dermaplaning procedure. If they need to sneeze, cough, itch, or do anything that causes movements, have them raise their hand. That will signal to you to move your blade away from the client. And of course, instruct your client not to talk during the dermaplaning procedure.